Hello and welcome back to the Strobe Light Series. Today we are in the temple town of Tirupati. However, we are not going to the temple, but we are at a place which will evoke the same feelings of hope, faith and gratitude in you as any place of worship would. We are at Akshaya Kshetram. This is a home of about 55 residents, some of whom came here as orphans barely a few days old, and now they found a loving family. Others came here with intellectual and physical disabilities, being vision, speech, and hearing impaired. With medical intervention, care, compassion, and concern, they have shown small but significant improvements and are able to live a life with dignity. If you're wondering about the story of Akshaya Kshetram, let's go and meet Gopal and Lavanya Rao, who will tell us the story of this temple of love and compassion. Thank you for joining us and welcome to our show. Could you tell us the story in your own words about how Akshaya Kshetram came to be?
It was started by my parents, Ramaswami and Varalaxmi, and this was it started when we were in Delhi. We had a very serious accident, and he was on bed for almost 6 months. He lost his sight, and in fact, the doctors had sort of said,
Given up hope.
And said he might not recover his sight, or even if he recovered, because he had a head injury, so something might not be right. But luckily, after 6 months, one day he opened his eyes and he saw Lord Venkateshwara's calendar, and for him it was like, this is my second life. I have to do something with it. So then he started thinking, what should I do? He hadn't decided on Akshaya Kshetram at that time, but he was exploring all the other avenues. He worked with Mangalam, which is a local charity there, who were providing artificial limbs to physically challenged people. And then they found out that was not the appropriate technology. And then they worked with Dr. Sethi, who started this Jaipur foot, which is more amenable to our Indian audience. And then after that, what happened was, in fact, he also went and looked at some of these SOS villages.
Right. Yes.
So because he was looking at various things, something beyond his job, and he had decided. So what he did was, he took voluntary retirement. He started exploring everything. And then we had gone off to Sudan for our job. And then they moved to South. They were in Hyderabad for some time. And then finally they decided to come to Tirupati. When they came to Tirupati, they joined a place called RAS, Rashtriya Seva Samiti, which is, I think it's no longer regional, it's quite national now. He worked there for some time as one of the directors, where they were doing training for people with how to help rehabilitation, running rehabilitation courses. But then after some time, he felt he would like to start something on his own. And that's how Akshaya Kshetram came into being. And also he felt that there were not many facilities for women. There were places for children, but not for, let's say, girls over the age of 18. Where would they go after 18? I mean, Bal Mandir and things like that, they were not
Shunned from,
Yeah, because they had reached the age of 18. Where do they go? So that's when he started Akshaya Kshetram. First with the idea of only having women with mentally challenges. And then it grew, and then they have men who have become men now. So that's how Akshaya Kshetram started.
You have two divisions, two branches, right?
We do.
Here and Renigunta.
Initially, they all were here only. The boys would stay here, and the girls were, they were all together. But then as the girls also became older and the boys grew into men, and their needs had changed, and this wasn't enough for them. So my father managed to get some government land at Renigunta. So they built a place there. And then all the men and boys, they have shifted there.
I read that your father was deeply influenced by the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. Yes. So what was it like growing up in a house with a man and a mother who uh, had such good intentions but also acted upon them.
Yes, I must say, as a child, you don't realize these
Right,
things.
yeah.
How
Probably only in
yeah,
hindsight.
because it's all part of growing up,
Yeah,
isn't it? So even before this Akshaya Kshetram happened, my father was very much into. He was so much against anti dowry system.
right.
If there was any marriage in the family anywhere, he would not go if there is a marriage. It doesn't matter, even if it's the closest relative, he would not go.
Okay.
So those kinds of things, and I mean they were deeply religious,
Mm-hmm.
but they never insisted that I also should do all the rituals, which was again very much about encouraging me to think the way I want to be. So those values were always lying underneath. But when he started this place, they really came out, because he was very much about empowering the teachers here, because he knows the difficult situations many of them have. So those are the core values which runs this organization, basically equality for everybody, respect for everybody, respect for women. So he would, I have never heard him say anything bad about anybody. For him, all the staff, everybody were his children.
So good to add that despite the fact that they were themselves very religious, religion didn't play a part in terms of the organization. I mean,
Right.
our leadership team, or most of them we have people from different religions, and there's never been an issue in terms as far as they're concerned, as far as the religion aspect. So again, it's very much Gandhian in terms of their principles.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Rao, you've worked also with Oxfam. And when you see a place like Akshaya Kshetram, I know that a lot goes on in terms of interventions, in terms of medical interventions, and also the huge amount of love and concern and compassion that the teachers and the staff have for the children. But I see that they are quite involved in many activities over here, and it's buzzing with life and energy. So tell us a little bit about how they spend their time here.
I think in terms of spending their time here and what the model which has been adapted by the founders was to have people the choice of what they would like to do. So that the whole thing was, as you can see here, there was no imposition in terms of what they can be doing. So it's not very structured, which is quite different from other organizations. In terms of what they do, I mean, right from the morning, they have a sort of routine of getting up very early. They all do this sort of, they have a yoga exercise in the morning, and then it's all very structured that way in terms of timing. Then they have the breakfast, and they come to have a prayer here, and then they do an assembly, and then they go into their classes. I think mainly in terms of what they can learn based on their ability.
Right.
And then in the afternoon they have sort of in terms of evening classes, in terms of walking around, and we've recently also got more sort of equipment which is in terms of getting more physical activity. Yeah, and then that's all. And then they have bhajans in the evening. They have singing in the evening. So it's very much on that sort of base. And over a period of time, they've decided to manage things themselves. They don't need to be sort of coached what to do. So
They do lot of help each other.
Yeah.
Because we do have some who are very severe,
Yeah.
so they need help.
yeah,
Right.
So the other residents who are more able, they
Help them.
They help
Yeah,
them.
that's wonderful.
Sometimes they'll
Feeding.
feed them. They say give a bath.
Really.
Those kinds of things are.
How does an organization like Akshaya Kshetram run? Is it on the support of contributions?
Yes, it is contributions and donation, and mostly by local people around. In Tirupati, everybody knew what Akshaya Kshetram was, where Akshaya Kshetram was. There was time when even at station somebody would say, "Oh, we need to go to Akshaya Kshetram," and say, "Oh yeah, we know where it is. We'll take you there." That kind of thing. And also because it's a temple town,
Yeah.
many people feel that, oh, we must go and do some. Because what people feel that, oh, we can't really go and serve them. You are doing the service, so we need to support you.
yeah,
So we got lots of donations. All the local people, I mean, even sometimes it has happened that an auto rickshaw guy will bring somebody as visitors and he'll say, "Oh, I didn't know. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to sponsor lunch here."
How
So
sweet.
that has happened
Yeah.
so many times. Local people, very, and my father never said anything to like, how much your costs are for
Yeah.
lunch. It might cost, let's say, 5,000 rupees, but he would never say you have to give 5,000 rupees. He'll say he'll never prescribe what the cost is, what you have to pay. He'll say you pay whatever.
Whatever you like.
And in terms of the sources of funding, primarily it is through individuals. I would say 80-90% is that. And that comes in the form of either what we call annadanam, where people come and give sponsor the food. It could be, they can either send the food, or they can be in kind, or they can give us some contribution for that. So that is the main thing. And then we get voluntary donations. And if you actually ask me who our donors are, actually I can't name them. There's somebody who will just put in 30,000 in the bank, somebody will put 50,000 in the bank. So very, very generous people in terms of doing it. But yeah, I think, and as they're also saying, I would say maybe 15-20% of our income comes in kind.
Yeah.
People donate stuff.
Yeah, local. I mean, the vegetable market. We donate vegetables twice a week.
That's very
So
nice.
and we have an egg seller who gives 200 eggs every week. And then we haven't bought rice in last 3 years.
Wow.
We have got their own donation. Somebody will say, like yesterday, we had a team from, what is this bank?
HDFC.
They came and they gave some almaris and fruits and most of the stuff we have here, all the chairs, fans, they're all donated.
Nice.
I would like to also add that we are one of the few organizations which are still entitled or allowed to get foreign contribution. So we get a very limited amount of foreign contribution, mainly from family and friends in the UK and US. And we have two foundations, one in the US and one in the UK, which has been giving us money for a long time. It's called the Heart and Head for Handicapped, New York-based organization. So they fund things like sports equipment or things like that. So but we don't depend on that because we have such a strong community base within the region. So we don't actively seek foreign funding.
This morning, while we were at the prayer, you were telling me a little about the residents here. One of the residents was the daughter of a professor. Another resident here has brothers and sisters living in the US. But because of intellectual disability, they are here. So you also told me that you want to compile some of their stories.
In terms of communicating, what we would like is the following. One is for people to understand that what is mental illness. Because many people have their own illusions or wrong assumptions about it. So one have to say there are people here who are living normal life, who are smiling, who give you a lot of energy. So just to give examples of, stories like that. The other thing is to recognize that there are ways of dealing with mental illness and where people can start contributing to it, and a success story, which is not it's not an institutional organization based on a different model. So we are very keen to be just publicizing that or communicating that to other people in terms of there are other ways of looking after intellectual disability, whatever the right word is. So,
Yeah. And that's something that I noticed, and it's very heartening to see all of them walking around without anybody monitoring them. They're happy, they're smiling, they're putting rangolis and bringing flowers to the temple. So, yeah.
That's there, but it doesn't mean that they don't get moods.
Of course, yes.
That's part of it. Somebody will be smiling right now, and then 2 minutes later, you'll see somebody crying. So you don't know what happened. Then 2 minutes later, they've changed back, and they're absolutely fine.
Just also say, in terms of the relationship and why we have developed so far, is that the relationship with TTD is absolutely very important in the whole history of Akshaya Kshetram. Because when we started this organization, obviously it was hard to sort of take it forward. But there was one of the main areas when there were abandoned children in TTD, the large number of people who come here, particularly often, are people who were abandoned in Tirumala, either by on economic grounds or social grounds, and this was a safe haven. So the first thing they would do is the police would bring the
Them
children
here.
here, and so a lot of the relationship with TTD was because we were actually taking care of children who were there, because they have their own homes, but for people who have mental issues,
Yeah.
they don't have the organization. And that relationship has built, and over a period of time, we also started in the early around 2010. We started making before even this whole sustainability issue came. My father-in-law and mother-in-law started making paper bags and cloth bags for the laddus. Yeah, and that was something which was there. And then we had a counter in Tirumala. Again, that was an activity which was very helpful in terms of making sure that all the residents had something to do. Unfortunately, we couldn't continue it because the demand of was much more than what we could supply, so we had
Right.
to stop.
Was COVID challenging in terms of managing the?
It was challenging because we could not come. We weren't here. In fact, we were to travel in UK from on 31st of March, and on 20th of March
The
they said
lockdown. Yeah.
So we cancelled our things. So, but we did manage, and we learnt many things during that time. And when it was severe, we closed our gates. We said no to all visitors. We told the parents also that if they are in your house, keep them. They can't come back. If they are here, you can't come and visit them. And in fact, we told some of our staff also to stay at home, because it was they were very strict here. So they could not move around. But we did manage. In fact, even from there, we gave directions and we prepared an isolation room. You can see it's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an isolation room
Anymore.
Touch wood, we did not have a single case of COVID. And then
Yeah.
And a little segue to that is that because of the fact that we didn't depend on grant funding, we built up our own reserves. And bless them, my in-laws were very careful about the money all the time. They recognized that because we didn't have grant funding, I mean, and it really happened when we had COVID, despite the fact that our income sort of dropped, and to some extent, we managed to survive for the whole period. We managed to pay the staff every month's salary. We didn't get rid of any staff, and that's because of just the providence of that we had reserves with us.
Right. Your parents lived here,
we
right?
lived here, right?
Yeah.
here.
And oversaw the running of this.
For him, you see, that is his temple, basically. Every afternoon, he would go into the dining room. He'll make sure that everybody has been served. Then he will come home and he will eat his food. He will not eat unless first till they have all been fed. And have a little break. 4 o'clock. It used to be so hot. It is still very hot in May, June. But still he'll go and sit there. He has never said, sorry, I'm busy today, I can't see you, to anybody, ever. I think that tolerance, again, it comes maybe from having followed Gandhi, thinking that tolerance for people. He had great tolerance for.
You're continuing his dream. How challenging or easy is it to continue your father's dream?
I would say it is easier in one sense because he has established it very well. For 25 years, it's been doing a good job. They haven't. Challenging is that things are changing. Otherwise, maybe more on the financial system side.
We have lived away for 30 years now.
Right.
As far as we are concerned, we are probably, adopt to a different set of values and of this thing. So for us, one of the challenges is how do you make sure that the vision values are continues in the way which was designed by the founders, and to make sure that that continues. But in terms of our thinking, for us to adapt in a way which is obviously there, and it's a country in which we don't know what things are changing. That was another challenge in terms of how do we make sure that we marry what's happening now, but we sort of continue with that. And we've been very fortunate to have friends and family.
So you support about 100 residents here. Then there is the staff and all the structure, the organizational structure that you have to keep this running. So what is the kind of support that you would like?
We have different ways of supporting, right? The simplest in some ways is financial support, right? Because once somebody believes in your organization, then can we have been so far fairly successful in terms of financial support. So that it's just a question of sustaining that sort of support as you go along, but much more in terms of actually having regular giving. That's what
Right.
we would like to our organizations to start giving every month, or individuals to give every month. More support is in terms of getting professional support from people like who have them in the medical field, who can come and help us in terms of looking at, because we're not doctors.
Right.
So what is the right way? How can we start looking at what we are now? How can we take things forward? So that is the second element of support. The third area, which is to build up a pool of organized of official organization here, maybe a medical person, maybe a business person, maybe a finance person, because you know we at some point have to think about how do we succession
Correct.
must us,
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
want to move on to do something different and make a
Right.
different role. But then because it is a community based organization, we are now discovering that there are actually enough skills and talent in Tirupati which we need to follow and to nurture. And we thought Bangalore, but now we feel actually no, we could get people in Tirupati who can then take this forward to the next step.
Okay. Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm standing here with Annapurna ma'am. She is the director of Akshaya Kshetram. Ma'am, thank you for being on the show with us. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for visiting our Akshaya Kshetram. I am Annapurna. I worked as commerce lecturer for 35 years and retired as principal of a degree college. Worked in TTD for 35 years. Then retired in the year 2011. Joined Akshaya Kshetram on 1st August 2023.
I see.
So after coming here, I did some improvements. I got one multi-purpose room done with the help of CREDAI. Budget 4.5 lakhs. They did it freely. Now I'm getting done this closed drainage system.
Okay.
Previously it was open.
Open.
Then now I'm consulting one person to teach batik and hand printing to those who can do something.
Right.
Small tailoring center they are running here.
Okay.
I told them to do some bags, purses, phone pouches, gift bags.
Yes.
So small dolls with the sponge, and they will be gifted whenever some sponsors visit our center.
Very nice.
So that is how we are doing.
Okay.
And I'm planning to do some gardening with the water, recycling water after this closed drainage system is completed. So we can grow our own vegetables or fruits there. That is all. That is what I am planning for the present.
Excellent. So what for you is the most fulfilling part about being a part of Akshaya Kshetram?
Most fulfilling is when you come here, basically, and when you see the love for people, all the residents, they come running, and I would say that makes you, oh yes, I'm home.
Yeah.
For me, it is that. In addition to that, for me, it's just the change to see in people what they're able to do. I mean, today we saw two people we saw as orphans in that, and now today they're here this age. One guy is in a factory. He's joined in the factory. He's now training to be a technician, right? We have another person who's now. I mean, that for me, that whole thing of how people have
The transformation.
developed, and the fact that I was really touched to see that person today just drawing. So it's very fulfilling to see what you can bring about change in people and use their opportunities to develop their potential. It's already there. Right?
Yeah.
I think that for me personally, I think just the human development is the most potential
Fulfilling thing.
And I honestly say we put in a lot of effort. We get up at 6 in the morning,
I'm
right,
sure.
every day
Yeah.
before we do our day jobs. But when you come and see this, you think it's worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sitting with Vara Prasad and Valli Devi. Valli has been a resident of Akshaya Kshetram for nearly 15 years. And I'm going to speak to Varaprasad to understand how she came to be here, and we'll also speak to Vali to find out what she enjoys being at Akshaya Kshetram.
अभी इधर आने के बाद 15 इयर्स हो गया। ये 15 इयर्स में उधर 9 इयर्स के बाद पहले कैसा है, अभी 15 इयर्स में कैसा है, मैं को फुल चेंज है।
क्या चेंजेस देख रहे हो आप?
पहला वो दूसरा आदमी से बात करने को बात नहीं करता है, वो जैसा दूर दूर हमको बात करता है, हमारा जैसा दूसरा फ्रेंड दूसरा आदमी को नहीं बोलता है, बात करता है। अभी इधर आने के बाद एक फंक्शन में भी
सबके साथ बात करते हैं,
सबके साथ बात करता है, डांस और गीत गाता है। अच्छा हो गया सर। नहीं ने तो भी वो मैडम और उसका मैडम श्रीधर सर मैडम, वो भी आने के बाद भी अच्छा हेल्प किया मेरा को। अभी वल्ली देवी को इधर तुम भी देखता है, अभी वल्ली देवी कैसा है, अच्छा है, अच्छा बात कर, दूसरा आदमी से डर से नहीं बात करता है, डर से बात करता है, हाँ प्रॉब्लम नहीं। अच्छा अभी अच्छा हो गया। अभी मेरा को अक्षय क्षेत्रम को थैंक्सफुल जैसा रामस्वामी को, मैडम को, सर को देता है।
ओके वल्ली देवी, आप सर बोल रहे थे कि आप अच्छा सा क्राफ्ट करते हैं, फूल वगैरह बनाते हैं। हाँ बताइए।
उलन का क्लॉथ तो फ्లవర్స్ చేస్తాము। ఉలెన్ తోనే డాల్ అవి చేస్తారు, ఉయ్యాల, దాన్ని ఉయ్యాల అంటారు। మళ్ళీ ఇవి బ్యాగులు, చిన్న చిన్న పర్సులు, చిన్న చిన్న బ్యాగులు, సెల్ ఫోన్ బ్యాగ్స్, ఓకే, హ్యాండ్ బ్యాగ్స్, మళ్ళీ ఫ్లవర్ వాజులు, ఇది ఐస్ క్రీమ్ పుల్లలతో ఫ్లవర్ వాజ్ చేస్తాను। అవన్నీ కట్టుకుంటూ అది మళ్ళీ స్టిచ్చింగ్లో వచ్చి జాకెట్ బట్ట, బ్లౌజ్కి అది కట్ చేసేది, మళ్ళీ ఇది దాన్ని ఏమంటారు, ఇంకా చాలా ఉన్నాయి ఐటమ్స్,
9-10 items.
She does. I'm sitting here with Mr. Rajendra Reddy. His sister Srilata has been with Akshaya Kshetram, but I'll let Mr. Rajendra Reddy tell us in his own words his experience of Akshaya Kshetram.
I came from a small village. I am working in Tata Asset Management Limited since 15 years onwards. One fine morning, my mother has expired. At that time, I faced a lot of difficulty with my family and my sister, all. But my relatives have suggested, very good, home is there in Tirupati, don't worry about your sister. They will take care of us, no problem like that. A little bit still worried about that my sister life, how she leads like that, because even before one day also she never lived with me. So one fine morning I bring to her with a tear of my eyes. But the founder of this Akshaya Kshetram has given a lot of confidence. Don't worry, Mr. Reddy, you take care of your child and family. I will take care of your sister, like that. Little bit worried about I have at the time also. After 3 days, when she came here, after 3 days, I wondered. She never asked me. Hi, she is telling hi, you go your home, like that. She is a little bit of voice only. She never speak frequently. So she telling very happily, bye Anna, It's really, I am very, very happy. It's a very pleasure to say that Akshaya Kshetram is one of the very good to my family and to my all of the ladies, especially who are having no families.
So, we come to the end of the interview and I ask all our guests, how did you come to meet the founders of Peak Alpha?
We met them because of Sujata. Because when we were looking for our financial planning for Akshaya Kshetram, then Sujata recommended PeakAlpha.
And Sujata is your chartered accountant.
She's our chartered accountant. And then initially, I think in the COVID period, we did not meet them at all. It was all
Online.
And then I spoke to Sharath. And then when we came, we met Sham and
Priya.
Priya. That was very nice. They took us out for a meal, and then you can see, you can feel what they are doing and what they feel for everything, and it just comes across. And we thought, we're blessed to have friends like that, When we talk about friends of Akshaya Kshetram,
Right.
and we would consider them one of our friends.
Yeah.
So it's very nice to have people like that.
Okay.
Anytime we have any message, we bring up Sujata. I think maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes maximum, she'll respond to it. And that is for us absolutely vital. And I think we people like that gravitate to us, and same with Sham and Priya.
Right.
Yeah, you can easily figure out who are the people with whom you have similar values, similar
Right.
belief.
Like a synergy.
And I think that's what makes this whole thing so exciting, because you find there are so many more people, whatever they're doing, whether they're doing mutual funds or it's about the marrying of values, which bring people together. And that's fascinating. Absolutely
Right.
fascinating.
Yeah. I think we are all very deeply moved by what you do for at Akshaya Kshetram. And as I end the interview, I can just wish you support and beneficence in your future endeavors.
Yeah, thank you very much.
With this, we come to the end of our visit to Akshaya Kshetram. I know my team will remember this story for a long time. I know that all of you will also feel a sense of hope and gratitude, and we urge you to hold on to that thought and remember that there is so much goodness in this world. We will also leave you with the contact details of Akshaya Kshetram should you want to support them in any way. Goodbye and see you next time.